So the movie industry is fighting back against Universal Studios, and there is war. War in Hollywood. War? War in Hollywood? The devil, you say? I just always wanted to say that in a sentence. What's up, Raiders? It's Adam from raidersofthelostflicks.com. Remember, if it's a bad movie, we want to know about it. And it looks like Universal and AMC are quarreling over Universal when they did a thing and they released videos on demand, skipping the theaters altogether. And man, is it juicy. But before we get into it today, I'd really like you to hit the thingy, hit the like button, hit the follow. I'd appreciate it very much. Thank you very much. Anyways, let's get into it. Universal and AMC are quarreling. What it says about Hollywood and its future. Tensions are running high in the film industry. Gosh, do you think?
Don't say!
Tensions are running high in the film industry. Studio and exhibitors have been faced with difficult decisions in the wake of the Brew Flu pandemic, as both are grappling with how to keep their businesses afloat long enough to weather movie theater closures and social distancing restrictions. Theater owners have been understanding when movies that had already been in theaters went to the home video market early, or theatrical releases that had already been done the bulk of their marketing skipped theaters for a video on-demand launch. However, the relationship between exhibitors and studios reached a boiling point Tuesday, resulting in the world's largest theater chain announcing that it would no longer show movies from one of the biggest studios in Hollywood, Universal fucking Studios. This quarrel has brought to the surface decades-long concerns over the vitality and longevity of the traditional theatrical experience and called into question whether movie theaters will truly be able to go back to normal after this outbreak ebbs. It's also created a crowded calendar of movie releases for studios to puzzle over as they look to maximize profits. The result could be a rethinking of its long-standing relation. After taking a victory lap in the presence over the digital success of Trolls World Tour, CEO Jeff Shell suggested on Tuesday that the studio may start to do more simultaneous releases of its movies in theaters and on demand, even when theaters reopen. Exhibitors were already feeling antagonized by Universal's after the studio announced that Trolls World Tour would have a simultaneous release even before theaters had officially closed. Shell's new comments only exacerbated their owners' fears and frustrations. The National Association of Theater Owners quickly responded, saying the performance of Trolls World Tour was indicative of hundreds of millions of people being isolated in their homes and seeking entertainment, not a shift in consumers' viewing preferences. AMC took a step further, saying it would no longer showcase Universal's film slate at its more than 1,000 locations. AMC's position in this matter, which is to never show Universal's pictures again, is absolutely not the only correct response for a theater chain to have, but reality, it's their only response, said Tom Noonan? A lecturer at the UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television. That kind of comment from Jeff Shell could be a death knell for theater chains. Since 2010, when Netflix shifted from renting DVDs to launching a streaming service, the theatrical model has become increasingly threatened. Consumers typically are only venturing out into theaters 3 to 5 times a year, and when more content becoming available and more streaming platforms, there's a fear that movie theaters could continue to take a hit. Of course, there are studies that suggest the people who go to see movies in the theaters more frequently are also the people who consume more streaming content. What's at stake? Theater owners are in particularly vulnerable position during the outbreak because their cinemas are closed and their revenue has shrunk to essentially zero. Major players in the space have been forced to lay off and furlough employees, suspend dividends, cut salaries, and draw down on debt revolvers in order to keep the bankruptcy at bay. We are dealing with a wrecked business, said Jonathan Kuntz, who teaches film history at UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television, and AMC knows it, and their investors know, and it's why you are seeing an imminent risk of death to that company. Theaters thrive on having the exclusion first window for a film. It's what drives consumers out of their home. If studios were to start releasing films in theaters and on demand at the same time, it would not only take ticket revenue away from exhibitors, it would also mean concession revenue would take a hit. Last year, the movie theater industry took a $15 billion in revenue domestically, a combination of around $11 billion in ticket sales and $4 billion in in concessions. Globally, ticket sales soared to a new high of $42.5 billion. Some theaters have rallied behind AMC's state. Cineworld CEO Mookie Grimnani, try to pronounce that name, agreed that if a studio did not respect the traditional theatrical windows and decided to release a film on demand in theaters on the same day, Cineworld would not show that film. Similarly, Sonny Gourley, the senior vice president of film at Marcus Theaters, said his chain does not currently do simultaneous day and date releases, but would still show theatrical exclusive. While the Brew Flu still has theaters on lockdown, there is an expectation that more studios will opt to place films on demand or their own streaming service. So far, only a handful of films have decided to forego the theatrical experience and go straight to the home market. Warner Brothers' Scoob will arrive on demand in May. Disney's Artemis Fowl will go to Disney Plus, and Paramount Pictures' The Lovebirds was scooped up by Netflix. To be sure, none of these films are opening in theaters and through streaming or on demand at the same time. We're going to get to a point where the public is going to clamor for a VOD release, said Eric Schieffer, CEO of the Patriarch Organization and chairman of Reputation Management Consult. There's such a craving for something that will hold you and take you on a journey and help you escape the reality we are in today. Thank you very much. I've been saying that all along. We need a little escape. It's no surprise that studios are looking for alternative release strategies during this time. The lack of movie theaters has resulted in the majority of film titles being pushed to later dates on theatrical calendar. Not to mention there is a growing concern that while consumers may be itching to leave their homes, they may not be ready to flock back to theaters. A survey by Corusite showed 44% of those polled would look to avoid movie theaters even after lockdown orders are lifted and cinemas are allowed to reopen. Universal has a good reason to move forward with far more VOD offerings, Schiffer said. To me, that's the future anyway. Right now, people would rather chew glass than go into a theater. So this here is a very slippery slope. And from where I see it, there are no winners here, only victims. Because on one hand, you have AMC, which has been filing for Chapter 11, losing money, losing customers, not being able to stay afloat, getting downgraded on their credit score. And then this is the same company who's telling Universal to stick it where the sun doesn't shine because they released movies without consulting with them, saying, well, we're just going to skip the whole theatrical thing, put it out on demand, and collect most of the profits, which is something that I did predict. I said that, like, if you cut out the middleman, the studio's making all of the money, so why is this a better thing? You know what I mean? It's like, you know, the only person that wins here is the studio, and the customer's having to pay for it, because now you're paying like $20-$30 per movie, which a lot of people feel like maybe that's okay, and that's a matter of speculation. Of course, that's going to take me back to only seeing 3 or 4 movies a year like everybody else, because I'm not going to dump $20 to $30 on every single release that comes out if that's the way things go. Universal released Cats and Black Christmas in the same year, like within months of each other. And then January they came back with Doolittle. I know Doolittle's a movie for kids, but it makes me want to punch a baby. Black Christmas, I'd rather dip my balls in honey and teabag a hill of fire ants than watch that again. They're not exactly a company that I have a lot of faith in right now. They did pretty okay with The Invisible Man, but again, this is Blumhouse, which is like, 1 to 10 in every good movie that comes out. Invisible Man is also a remake. So is this really the studio that should be taking risks like this? Like I said, in this scenario, I only see losers for everybody, and it's the audience that's going to ultimately suffer. Theater chains have already been suffering because lack of good movies, lack of good content, and now the studios themselves are like, you know what? Screw the theaters. Let's take advantage of a very bad situation and jump the turnstile, so to speak, and just go ahead and release it on demand. It's a very, very slippery situation. I don't know if I can take a side on it. I want to be able to go back to movie theaters as much as everybody else. Like you, I'm going stir crazy. I'm tired of being on lockdown. That doesn't mean I'm in a big hurry to go rush my ass out and sit in a movie full of people that are breathing their crap into my face. I'm not in a hurry to do that yet, and I know others probably feel the same way. What do you think about it? Leave a comment down below. Make sure you hit subscribe on the way out. If you do so, I appreciate it very much. You guys have yourselves a wonderful day, and this is Adam signing out. Peace.